Hello and welcome to Wise Women Speak. This is an audio series for women to find their voice. My name's Liz Scott, and I'm an author and a well-being coach with a particular passion for seeking and sharing well-being at a community level.
I'm Dorothy Kolomeisky. I'm based in the US and I'm a writer and editor and a coach who's passionate about helping people get their dreams out of their heads and into the world.
Well, Dorothy, we're going to talk a bit in a moment about how we met and how you helped me to get my dreams out into the world. But first of all, I'm just curious about what really inspires you about Wise Women Speak, because I know that this is something that really touches you.
So, Liz, thank you. And I have to say, this journey started for me a couple of years ago when I was working as a writer and a curator for an online magazine that had between 2.5 and 3 million viewers. And the magazine was thriving, and the articles were, there were so many rich articles going into it. And we did analytics on it, and we found out that our audience was middle-aged to older women. And I thought this was fantastic and really loved the content and the comments and the depth of where the conversations would go. And the team that I was working with decided that they wanted to rebrand the entire the entire project basically and aim it towards young people and not towards women also. So that was such a shock for me, and I realized that women were looked at, especially older women, were, and when I say older, I would say anywhere from 50 onwards, were looked at as pretty irrelevant and that their voices were not important. And that was the complete opposite of what I was seeing. I was seeing these women come up and giving each other advice. And these were the women that were raising their grandchildren and influencing their children and involved in everything from education to politics to being the next door neighbor. And I thought, what a wealth of wisdom and potential. And I wanted to help create a platform where women are valued and can step out into their worth and expression.
You know,
How about
that's,
you, Liz?
yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to
what?
say that really resonates with me. A slightly different story, but similar conclusion, because I do a lot of work in the community, our local community here in the UK, around well-being. And one of the things I began to notice very quickly, I'm quite new to this, only done this for 3 years, working specifically in my community. And one of the things I noticed was that the number of women, and like you say, older women, and we're talking 50
Mm,
plus, who were doing incredible things around volunteering or running community groups or coffee mornings. I would say probably about 90% of the people that are working at an absolute grassroots level in community were older women. And I was blown away. It was they don't blow their own trumpet, they don't make a song
mhm,
and dance about it. They just get on and do it. So that was certainly something I saw, which struck me like, wow, what would happen if these women didn't do what they did? And I
mm,
guess the other thing that really inspires me about Wise Women Speaking is that it took me in my 50s until I published my book, which I guess you could say I've been trying to write a book for 30 odd years. And I keep trying and writing it,
mm,
and it's no good, and try another one
mhm,
and put it
mhm,
away. And actually it's taken this long until I feel like I've been able to bring my book into the world, almost like give birth to it in my 50s. And
mhm,
and so for
mhm,
me, having my voice heard in this way has been really powerful actually for myself. And of course, Dorothy, you're, just going back to how we met and your role in that, you've been very instrumental in that role of bringing that book to life.
So that was very interesting for me to hear, because when I look at you, you're so articulate, and your writing is beautiful and lyrical and full of stories and humanity and interest. And I thought, gosh, if Liz is hesitant about sharing her voice, there must be a lot of other women that feel the same. And I thought that your book pretty much wrote itself from your own passion and your own vision and your own rich experience of life. And that begged the question for me, how many other women are there out there that aren't expressing themselves, that have books in their computers or under the bed, so to speak, or other projects, or just their own voice really being heard? And so when you were very inspired about this and we began to talk about it, I thought, wow, I think we're onto something.
Yeah, I mean, I really love what you're saying there, because I guess I've been writing on and off for such a long time, but I would always get to a stage where I would look at what I'd written and I'd go, oh, this is just a load of old rubbish. I better start again. It was so I'd start with a lot of enthusiasm. It's like I had something I wanted to say, and then it was like, no, this is just a load of rubbish. Let's just get rid of it. I don't want anybody to see this. So I really love what you're saying here, because I think that part of what draws me to this conversation with you, and the conversations we're going to have, is that often it looks like we're up against a lot of stuff that stops us writing, but actually often, or creating, not just writing, but creating and expressing ourselves. But often actually, if you come right back into it, the biggest critics we've got are ourselves. And so I really want this series of audios to be looking at how we can move beyond that and actually get these extraordinary voices heard in the world.
Mm. Yeah, I love what you're saying, Liz. And I remember the first book that I wrote, I was 23, I think, at the time. And our editor came, this was in Moscow, and he reduced our book from being hundreds of pages down into something very succinct. He was an amazing editor, actually. And I learned so much from him. Instead of tearing us down, he built us up, but he could wander through the pages and the words and pull out the pieces where our voices were really shining, because the first book was a book that was co-authored with two other people. And going through that process and having somebody outside of you, which is why this container of doing a course with you, Liz, and even if it's the audio course, having that container of the feedback of other women and other people going, hey, don't throw that away. Wait a minute, there is a seed of something really brilliant in there. And if you think about all the people that create, like, think about all of our favorite music, think about all of our favorite movies, and the actors and the actresses, and all of our favorite books, and all of this creation that's out in the world that we get exposed to, that's so rich, and some of it with love, and it inspires us and carries us forward, and some of it is not for us, and we just keep moving. Imagine if all of those creators stopped because they were afraid to get their ideas and their vision and their passion and just their words or their paintings out into the world. So I can relate to what you're saying about having to separate out the writer and the editor in this case, or in other words, the critical part of yourself versus the part of yourself that goes, gosh, I really have something to say, or to write, or to paint, or to express. And it's good enough. It's good enough. I am good enough to
Absolutely.
express myself and be heard.
Oh, I get tingles just just talking to you about this, Dorothy. And I know we've got several more audios we're going to be recording. So next time we're going to be looking at who we are beyond our roles. And I'm really looking forward to unpicking that next time we meet.
Me too, Liz. Thanks so much.